Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico with the Creativity Cave, and welcome to another edition of Simple to Stunning Sunday. I've got a trio of cards here that would be perfect for any occasion, but also would work great for a masculine themed card, which is something I get a lot of requests for. I'm using the stamp set Rooted in Nature, and this is a really great stamp set. It's a double stamp set. There's a ton of stamps in it, and it also comes with a set of framelits to coordinate, and those framelits cut out most all of the images. I have one of the framelits out right now because we're going to use it. So let's get started with our cards. Our first card is very simple and quick and easy. Now you can of course substitute a sentiment from with something else if you don't like this one. Just going to bring in a scrap paper here to stamp on. So I've got a half a sheet of Old Olive cardstock and a 3.5 by 4 3/4 inch piece of Whisper White. So I'm going to take my big tree stamp and ink this up with some Old Olive ink. And then I'm going to stamp this on my Whisper White panel, leaving plenty of room for my sentiment towards the bottom. Okay, so there we go. There's our beautiful tree. You can see it's got lots of great detail. And then I'll add my sentiment at the bottom. And again, this is one that comes with this stamp set. You are wonderful, which is great. Okay, next up, I'm going to take a little bit of linen thread and wrap this around my card. I love using linen thread because it is a really nice way to add a little embellishment without it being too girly, if you know what I'm saying. So I'll just wrap this around here a couple of times and then tie a knot on here near the top, and then we'll just trim those ends. And I wanted to make it just a little bit less plain. So I decided I'd do a little bit of stamping on my card base. Okay, so this part is all set. Then we'll go over to our card base, and one of my favorite leaves in this stamp set is this one. And I'm going to take and stamp this kind of along the bottom third of the card, and I'll do that kind of in all different directions, and it's just creating a nice little background on my card like so. Okay, then I will take and pop this panel up on my card, and we're done with our first card. Really easy. The other thing about this is, of course, you can interchange sentiments to have whatever kind of card you need, whether it's a birthday card, a sympathy card, a retirement card, or a thinking of you card. All of these will be great with this very simple layout. Okay, next up, I wanted to make it just a little fancier, so I went to the next level, which was to take and die cut my tree out and pop it up, add a little pop of color, and then stamp my sentiment on a different strip. Okay, so the measurements are the same. I've got my half sheet of Old Olive cardstock, and just like the last card, I'll stamp that bottom edge with my leaf stamp, so that's nice and easy. I'm going to use the same 4 3/4 by 3.5 inch Whisper White panel, but this time I'm going to stamp and die cut my tree out on a scrap of Whisper White. Okay, so there's our background. And then I'm just going to grab my scrap of cardstock here. And this time I'm going to add a little bit of extra color to this. I'm just going to, I have taken and stamped my, or inked up my image in my Old Olive ink, but now I'm going to take that tree trunk and I'm going to color it with an early espresso marker. Okay. We'll stamp that down on our piece of cardstock, and then look at that. I think that adds kind of a nice touch. I'm going to go ahead and die cut that with the coordinating framelit, and I'll be right back. All right, I've got my tree die cut, so let's put this card together. Just like before, I'm using this piece of Whisper White cardstock, and we're going to glue that to our card base. Next up, I'm going to take and pop up my big, beautiful tree here with some dimensionals. And because this is a pretty large die cut, I'm going to use several. Maybe one more here in the middle. And then we'll position this kind of near the top of our card so that there's room for our sentiment below. All right, and then I'm going to take a 1 1/4 by 5 inch strip of crumb cake, and I will stamp the sentiment just like before, but I'll stamp it on this crumb cake strip. And then we'll pop this up onto our card as well. But first, I'm going to tie a little bit of linen thread around here. And then, of course, I've got one more version of this card that I think you're going to love. And it uses one of my all-time favorites, which is the Wood Textures DSP. Okay. I might have trimmed my linen thread just a little tight to get it on there. So I'm just going to pull these ends up. All right. So there we go. Now I will pop this up onto my card. I like putting my dimensionals on the ends because that'll hold that linen thread on here and it won't slide off by accident, which is great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and place this onto our card like so. And that is a great looking card. But we're going to take it one step further. And on this card, as I mentioned, just like before, we're going to start with that half sheet of old olive cardstock. We'll stamp those leaves along that bottom third to make a really pretty background. Like so. And then I've cut the same size piece, so 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. This time it is in my Wood Textures printed paper, and we'll place that right here on our card, like so. Then I'm going to take and ink up my stamp once again. Now, just like before, I'm going to color the trunk of my tree with my old olive marker, or I'm sorry, my early espresso marker, but I'm also going to add some early espresso on some of the branches up top. I like doing this because it kind of makes my tree a little more real, and it gives it a little bit more depth to add some of these lines in here. So you can see I'm just coloring on anywhere that it looks like there might be, you know, kind of a branch coming out. And in some cases I'm just sort of tapping that color on, but in other cases, I'm coloring it. That looks pretty good to me. Now, I just huffed on it. That's kind of like the key to stamping with marker. Stamp that down, and then look at how different that tree looks with some of those tree branches colored in. I think it really gives the tree a different look. Now I've already gone ahead and die cut that, so I can go ahead and put the rest of my card together. All right, so to do that, I'm going to, except what did I do with my extra tree? Here it is. Whew. Okay, so I've die cut my tree. I also am going to stamp on my contrasting Wood Textures printed panel. So once again, I'll use my same sentiment. And then I'm also going to take that leaf. Remember we used this with Old Olive? I'm going to kind of color that or clean that off. And oh, I just put it in the Old Olive, but that's not what I wanted. Darn it, now it's clean again. I'm going to use my Early Espresso to add a little coordinating color to my printed paper, but I want to make sure that I don't overshadow everything. So I'm stamping off the first layer of ink, and then I'm just going to stamp a few of these onto this panel and a few on this end of the panel, just to kind of dress things up. And I'll put one more little leaf right there. Okay, now with these stamped off more subtle leaves, that kind of really decorates up our panel and looks wonderful. Now, just like before, how many times have I said that in this video? I'm going to take and pop up my tree with several dimensionals, and we'll also pop up our sentiment. I'm going to embellish it with a slightly different trim. I'm going to use our copper trim for this. Still not too feminine a bow. It's kind of looks like netting to me, actually, which I think is somewhat masculine, of course. And I'm just going to tie a knot, or tie this knot off. And then what I love about this trim is it's kind of got like a, I don't even know what it is. It sort of will stay. The ends will kind of stay. And here's what I mean by that is you can spread them out. It actually, this stuff is like a tube that's all kind of compacted, but you can sort of pull those ends out and fray them a little bit, and that, I think, gives it a little bit more of a masculine look than, say, a bow would, of course. And I'm just trying to slide this around. There we go. So it's in the center. All right, now I'll take and pop this panel up just like I did the last one, and that will be our card. Such a cool card, first of all, and second of all, again, perfect for masculine cards. Now, if you struggle with masculine cards, I'm going to tell you I have a really helpful solution. Oh, we're going to do one more thing to this card, though. And that is consider signing up for my April Facebook class, because we are going to focus on masculine projects this month. Now, I'm going to do one more thing and spritz this with my Early Espresso marker. So I'm just going to push it in here, or put the end of my marker into the cap and flick hard. Okay, do a couple. Ooh, good. Oops. And you know what? I kind of did the bad thing, which is I actually hit a little right there, but I think we're good. You can see we've got some great little flecks of ink on here, and that's just one more extra step. So anyway, my Facebook class is an awesome opportunity to get a lot of ideas for masculine cards with great card layouts. I hope you'll consider signing up for it. It is amazing, and the feedback I get every month is really impressive on this class. It really is my favorite class, and it's an incredible value. It's $25 for 1 month, or $15 when you subscribe for a year, and you get 3 Facebook Lives with a minimum of 9 projects in each live. That's awesome. So I hope you'll join us. Our first live isn't for another week, so you can get registered and have plenty of time to join the fun. All of those details will be in the description of this video here, both the link to join as well as the link to my Facebook or my website, which will have all of the photos and supplies that I used for today's project. So thank you guys so much for stamping with me today. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.